Okay, so first we're gonna make the marinade for the mackerel. This is going to be a simple marinated broiled Japanese style mackerel. So with 1 tablespoon of sugar, do 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of mirin, 1 tablespoon of miso, this is the white miso. You could use the red miso, dark miso. I'm gonna do just like maybe a half a teaspoon or so of ginger, fresh ginger there. Okay, so we bought a really nice mackerel and we had the fishmonger gut it, and we thought it was gonna be whole, but he actually cut it into pieces. No big deal, it's gonna do the same exact thing. So I'm just gonna cut just tiny little slits in the skin like this. Just a little bit. All right, and that's because I wanna get the marination in there. And also when we broil it, I hope to give it, you know, the effect of like that crispy skin that you would get sometimes if it's like barbecued. I remember this was popular in Taiwan. They would barbecue it and it was so good. It was salted mackerel, barbecued, and then they would just serve it alongside like a little bit of like a lime wedge and some salt and pepper, and that was it. It was really, really good. So once this is done, I am going to cover it, put it in the refrigerator to marinate, and then I'll probably flip them so they'll marinate on the other side, and we're just gonna marinate it for about 40 minutes. All right, so we got some of our ingredients already diced and prepped for the vegetarian fried wontons. So let me just let you know what we got going on in here. So all we did was we took some cabbage. You could use Chinese cabbage, we used regular cabbage, and we did about 3/4 cup of cabbage, and it was very finely shredded. Another thing I did for a while is I dried a piece of firm tofu, put it in a bowl, put a paper towel over it, and then I actually put something heavy on it and I let it press for about a half hour, and I drained the water. There was actually a lot of excess water that came out. Instead, I like to crumble it with my fingers for things like this because it gives it a sort of like meaty texture. Because if you see it inside tofu, you know, tofu has like a rough sort of texture to it. And I think that that's really nice and it absorbs flavors really well. So if you just take the time to crumble it, I think it, I don't know, I personally really like it. So I'm actually gonna crumble just half a block of this extra firm tofu and we're gonna add it to our mix and then we'll show you the next step. So Dom is going to cook our vegetarian mixture. We're gonna season it up a bit. We're keeping it pretty simple.
Basically just wanna get the moisture out, right? Brown it a little bit.
Right.
That's what we're going for.
I put the tofu in there. Looks really good. You know, you could always change the ingredients to suit your taste buds for vegetarian. Cabbage.
Garlic salt.
That was garlic salt. Some soy sauce. And we're doing white pepper powder. And then we're gonna finish it off with some sesame oil. So he's gonna let this cook off. Probably about maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll show you what it looks like. All right, so that just cooked for about 3 minutes. You don't need to cook it that much, you know, just enough to be heated through. We finished it off with a little bit of sesame oil at the end. I like to do that because I find that if you cook sesame oil that's like not, you know, like really high quality, it tends to get a little bit like bitter. So I just like to put just a drop at the end, and we topped it off with a little bit more white pepper powder, you know, seasoned to taste. And we're gonna let this cool completely. Commonly in Japan, you see lots of different kinds of pickles, lots of different fermented vegetables. And then, you know, they put it on top of the fish or maybe just a little piece on top of rice. You might have seen like a bright yellow piece of daikon before on top of rice, and it has this nice sort of sweet and sour kind of flavor to it. So what I've been doing is I have been making my own Japanese pickle, and I've been using something called sake lees, sake and then L-E-E-S, in order to basically ferment the pickles. So let me just tell you what I did. I took daikon. This is an experiment for me, so you're gonna see the unveiling of my experiment. I took daikon whole, and I took mustard greens whole, and I washed them well, and then I salted them very, very well, and I pressed them overnight. And then the next day, I rinsed the salt off. There was a lot of moisture that came out of them. So after that, after it was salted, pressed overnight, and then rinsed, I covered them in sake lees. Now, I got my sake lees from Dominic because he's making his own sake. He's going into the sake business, and brewing is something that he's very interested in. So he had a bunch of sake lees, and typically in Japan they would make Japanese pickles, sometimes using sake lees. So this has sat in the sake lees. I covered each of them very, very well in the sake lees. And then I pressed it, like you see. It's been sitting here about 4 days, so let's see what it looks like. Still smells sweet. It smells like sake, you know, so if you ever smell sake, it has like a sort of sweet, alcoholic sort of aroma to it. So, okay, my hands are clean. So this is a mustard green here. I'm gonna pull out a daikon for you. These are relatively small. I didn't peel them or anything. I kept them whole. You know, the stem is even intact. And when I touch it, I could feel it's not mushy, but it's springy and it's soft. And it has the feeling exactly of a cucumber pickle. You know, when you bite into a cucumber pickle, it's soft, but it has like a snap to it. It feels like that, actually. So let's see how the mustard greens did. Now, Dominic did not have high hopes for the mustard greens because typically you see really whole, large vegetables fermenting in sake lees, but you know, we're gonna rinse them off, and we're gonna give it a try anyway. Okay, so I rinsed it really, really well. This is the final product. I didn't make a lot because this is an experiment, you know, but I do plan on making more next time, and we do have extra sake lees, so. Okay, we're gonna let's try this one. This is more solid. So I'm gonna take off the first little piece. And it has a nice look to it. This is kind of where you can sort of see the grains of the vegetable. I know that in Japan I've seen that before, and it looks really, really pretty. So, okay. It has a nice crunch, very good texture. It's a little bit boozy. I don't know if it's supposed to be that way because I've actually never tried asizake, which is vegetables and sake lees. Try the mustard greens now. So I'll probably like the mustard greens a lot because it's bitter, and I love anything bitter. So I would think that they would cut the mustard greens up into tiny pieces like this and then sprinkle it on top of like rice or fish or whatever. They could even stir fry it too in like chilies or garlic. That's good. I like that even more because there's a little bit of bitterness to it. Slightly salty, not overly salty. Honey, try this. I'm gonna show you how to make a wonton. We are making deep fried wontons. You can also do this in the oven if you make these. This is what we're making, these beautiful little babies. Okay. If you brushed it with olive oil or oil and then put it in a baking tray in the oven, you could do that as well, and that's a healthier option. You could boil them, you could steam them, you can pan fry, like shallow fry, do sort of like pot stickers. I'm just telling you the options that you have, but we're deep fry. So you take a dumpling wrapper. I'm using a square, they come round too. And I'm going to, excuse me, put a little egg wash around. And I'm gonna pick it up. And I'm gonna put probably about a tablespoon of filling. Okay, a little bit more. Should be good. And then I'm going to fold it in half into a triangle first. Okay, and we want to pinch and seal the edges. Okay, so we got the edges nice and sealed. And then here's the fun part. Okay, you start to just make a little indentation in the bottom, and then you want to put some egg wash on a tip, and you're going to overlap and press. Okay, and they make a beautiful, beautiful shape like that. All right, so we're going to keep doing that, and then we'll be back.
Okay, so we've got our mackerel in a hot cast iron pan, and we're just about to put it into the oven to cook and then to broil. So we'll let you know how it comes out when we're done.
Show them the
We're
opening.
also at the same time frying our wontons here. So Brittany's making the wontons. We got a lot going on.
We made 21, and we actually had the perfect amount of dumpling wrappers and filling, so I'm really happy with that. It made 21. We already ate 2, and they were really, really, really good. So, all right, Dom just took it out of the oven. It was in the oven probably for about 6 minutes at 375. Now he's gonna pour the marinade over it. He didn't flip it. And what, you're gonna broil it the rest of the way
I'm
through?
gonna finish it under the broiler, yeah.
Okay. So we don't know how long that's gonna take. We'll let you know when it's. Okay, I'm making my favorite Taiwanese dipping sauce for the fried wontons. With the fried wontons, you could do like a sweet chili sauce. You can really do whatever you want, but I love this. This is green onion, garlic, ginger. Did I put the ginger in yet? No, I didn't. Green onion, garlic, the chili garlic paste that you can get in most places around here these days. A little sugar, a little bit of ginger. I like to put everything in it. In Taiwan, they give you like this whole little counter, and then you choose what you want in your dipping sauce. White pepper powder, I really, really like in there a lot. Okay, so that broiled for about, pretty quick actually, right? Maybe just like 3 minutes. It looks great. The marinade looks great. We might cook off the marinade a little. Can you just show them what like one of these other pieces look like? Okay, a little bit caramelized. A little bit caramelized here. Looks good. So I discovered an Italian Japanese fusion that I really liked. This is just some olive oil and garlic in a wok. You could do it in a pan, whatever. Sliced. I'm gonna wait till the garlic is fragrant, and then I'm gonna add bok choy. Bok choy, and it looks like it's cooking. I'm actually gonna add this, which is a mixture of miso paste and water. Just like 1 teaspoon of miso paste, not a lot. And that's the salt, and it's really, really, really good. I like this flavor combination a lot. And then I'm gonna finish it off with some lemon. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I got the bok choy in there. Now we're gonna go ahead and just put the miso water right in. That's gonna help to wilt the bok choy even more. Cook the white parts through. All right, so it's almost done. Bok choy cooks relatively fast. Nice, pretty whole pieces. We're gonna just finish it off with a little bit of lemon juice.
The difference between these two is this is
How banging does
after
that
they brew it
look?
and they
This is the bok choy
pasteurize
underneath.
it,
Yeah.
This is the broiled mackerel. These are the pickles that we made, or that I made, the asazake. Compliments of
they
Dominic's
add
sake.
water.
Little lemon on the side.
5 or 6
And we got our
water to
dumplings
it.
over.
Can you hand me the cup if you're done?
Okay. Yeah, looks so good.
We're about to eat dinner, and it's a very special dinner because we planned it around sake. We wanted to make some food that would go well with sake, so Brittany and I came up with a few things that are very delicious, number one, but maybe a little bit on the heavy side, but very savory, a little bit salty, and sake is really good for not only eating sushi and drinking sake, but a lot of rich savory foods can be paired with sake as well. So I picked 2 sakes to go with the food we have tonight. Brittany made some stir-fried bok choy, and we have some broiled mackerel, and then some pickles that Brittany made with the leftovers from my sake, the sake lees. So the food here is all about sake, and the first sake we're going to drink it with is this Hakutsuro Junmai Ginjo sake. It's very light sake, it's very dry sake, so it's not going to really get in the way of those big bold flavors, and it's a very drinkable sake, a little bit aromatic, so it will be good for us to try.
Where did we get this one from?
We got this sake from the local liquor store in Amityville. This is like the highest grade sake you can get outside of like a specialty sake shop, which there aren't any.
How much was that bottle?
This bottle was $14.99, I think.
So that's actually
Or
not that bad.
720 milliliters.
Yeah, for being a decent, somewhat decent quality Junmai sake, it's actually a pretty okay price in New York at least.
And this producer, Hakutsuru, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sake brewer in the world. Their brewery is in Hyogo Prefecture in Nara in Japan. And because I study sake, I was actually there very recently, so I got to see the brewery where this sake was made. And it's a huge place, it's like a factory. So it will be exciting for us to drink this.
Can you tell them why you were just in Japan?
I was just in Japan to receive a professional certification in sake.
Woohoo!
Yes.
And Dom is brewing his own sake.
Which is the second sake that we're going to try tonight. There's no label because I don't have a label because I'm a home brewer. But I can tell you that this sake and this sake are very different. This sake has been pasteurized, it's been filtered, and it's even been diluted with water to spread out the flavor a little bit more to make it more drinkable. Mine has not been filtered, has not been diluted, and it also hasn't been pasteurized. So this is big, bold sake flavor, and whereas our first sake was more of a stand in the background against the food, this is going to match up really well because it's got big aroma and rice and a lot of body. So I think that we'll enjoy both sakes with our meal.
Yay! So maybe can you just tell them, when they're tasting different sake, what's some kind of tip that they could use to get the best amount of flavor out of the sake on their first sip?
You don't want to drink it like it's a shot, certainly. And if you're drinking premium sake, you want to kind of savor it. Don't just swallow it down, and try to let the sake linger a little bit in your mouth. Get it around your tongue, because if it's a premium sake, you'll taste a lot of different flavor before you swallow. So you can try that.
Yeah, great. Okay, and now if someone wants to, perhaps if they're in the North Carolina area and they want to do a sake tasting, could they contact you?
Of course, if you ever want to do a sake tasting, you can contact me through my blog about sake, which is sharingsake.tumblr.com.
And I will leave a link below in the description box if you're interested in that, or if you just want to check out the blog if you have any questions for him about sake. All right, so Dom, why don't you go ahead? You want me to try to sample the food with the sake?
Yeah.
Okay. So which one you want me to try first?
Let's try. This is the obviously lighter Junmai Ginjo sake.
Ooh.
This is the, you can see the color difference. It's kind of hard to see on camera.
Yeah.
But
This one's slightly more yellow tint.
Yeah, why
and
don't
that
you try
one's
that
yours,
one?
right, babe?
Yes.
So try this one.
Well, I'll have a bite to eat, yeah.
Okay, so I'll have a bite to eat of our delicious mackerel that we put a lot of love and effort into, and I think it came out really, really good, and I'm very excited about it. I have to be careful of bones. Oh my god. You know what? That tastes a lot like Asia, I'm not even kidding. Like, it reminds me of Taiwan, it's crazy. We did use Japanese marinade flavors though. Bok choy is awesome. I'll try it with a little pickle. Really good. Very umami flavors, not overly salty. I'm gonna try Dom sake, which you're not even finished with this, right?
It needs to rest a little bit longer, and it needs to be pasteurized.
Wow. Wow, honey. I'm really surprised. It's good. I'm not surprised in a good or bad way, just in general. It's really good. It tastes like it's almost finished. It's slightly sour, a little bit sweet. Also kind of smooth at the same time. I'm not very good at describing tasting sake and everything. I don't have the right descriptive words for it, but I will tell you that I really like it a lot. And now we're going to try the Junmai Gunjo. Wow, there's like a huge difference. This one is a lot more smoother, a little bit more, I describe it in a way probably that's not correct. I don't know. Sometimes I taste like vanilla notes in certain sake, and I feel like this one, when you drink it again, this one is like more vanilla-ish. But he's right when he said that like this one is something that you can have like good Asian sort of pub grub with. You know, you can like really drink this and it holds up to the really strong flavors. So good job. Good job, both of us. All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and eat, but I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this, our all about food, and this is our food and sake episode of celebration of sake, because we really, really love it, and we hope to have it be a big part of our lives in the future coming up. So if you have any questions, contact me. If you want to contact Dom and you don't know how, you can get in contact with me, and take care.